Today, I will analyze one of the most famous songs of BTS, Fake Love, from the album Love Yourself, Tear. Although the song is often interpreted as a breakup track, I argue that Fake Love is much more than that. It functions as a cultural critique of performative identity and self-alienation in contemporary youth culture. Rather than simply describing romantic pain, the song explores what happens when people reshape themselves in order to be loved. The narrative centers on a painful realization. A love once believed to be destiny turns out to be built on illusion. This awakening produces emotional exhaustion reflected in the repeated lyric. I'm so sick of this fake love. Here, sick suggests more than sadness. It expresses psychological burnout caused by constant pretending. One of the most important lines is, "For you, I could pretend I was happy." This lyric reveals the core tension of the song. Love becomes performance rather than genuine connection. Happiness is not experienced but enacted. In trying to meet another person's expectation, the speaker gradually erases his true identity. This reflects the concept of performativity, the idea that identity is shaped through repeated actions designed to satisfy social norms. Another key metaphor appears in the line, "I grew a flower that can't be bloomed." The flower symbolizes a relationship that looks beautiful but lacks authenticity. It has been carefully cultivated, yet it cannot truly grow. The imagery suggests that love built on self-denial is ultimately unsustainable. When love requires the abandonment of one's ultimate self, it becomes destructive. The music video reinforces this interpretation through symbolism. Collapsing rooms represent the breakdown of identity. Water suggests being overwhelmed by suppressed emotion, while fire represents self-destruction. The maze-like spaces reflect emotional entrapment. These visual elements showing how emotional performance can lead to psychological collapse. To fully understand the song's meaning, however, we must consider its cultural context. In South Korea, young people face intense social pressures, such as academic competition and rigid expectations of success. At the same time, the K-pop industry requires idols to perform constant emotional labor, maintaining perfect public images while managing their feelings. Under these conditions, authenticity becomes difficult to sustain. Yet, this message extends beyond Korea. In the age of social media, people around the world curate idealized versions of themselves. We perform happiness, hide vulnerability, and shape our identities to gain approval. In this sense, the fake love described in the song can also refer to the relationship people have with their own constructed selves. This explains why fake love resonates globally. It expresses a shared generational anxiety, the fear that being loved requires becoming someone else. Ultimately, the song argues that love rooted in self-abandonment cannot survive. Genuine love requires self-recognition rather than self-erasure. By describing the emotional consequences of leaving behind a facade, Fake Love challenges listeners to question whether the roles they perform truly reflect who they are. Therefore, fake love is not simply about heartbreak. It is about the psychological cost of performing identity in the world that constantly demands perfection. And perhaps its most powerful message is this: if love requires us to betray ourselves, then choosing authenticity may be the most courageous act of all.